Hello, how is everyone doing? It is your fallen angel back with another video. Today, we are going over the big 5 personality traits: agreeableness and neuroticism, comfort with conflict explained. The lower a person ranks on agreeableness and the lower they rank on neuroticism, the more psychologically comfortable they will be with conflict. Conflict can range from a heated argument on the gentle side to mortal combat on the intense side. So, if you're low on agreeableness and lower on neuroticism, which will be a lot of other, which will be mainly men, it's not going to be women, because women will be higher on the agreeable scale and higher on the neurotic scale. So when they're at this range, they will be more likely to engage in conflict, heated conflict, as well as intense combat, because of that, because they are not going to be agreeable, nor are they going to be susceptible to ranging out in emotions for a neurotic scale. Those who rank high on agreeableness find conflict to be painful because they find exposure to malevolence to be traumatizing, right? So they don't do good. People that are high on agreeableness, they don't do good with ill will, spitefulness, maliciousness, hatred, viciousness, nastiness, hate, things of that nature, right? That's why they're highly agreeable in the first place. They consider that dark. They consider that painful, traumatizing, things of that nature. They don't like it. They usually try to stay away from things like that because it is in their nature to avoid it, right? They're not used to having that kind of high stress tolerance, right? Usually people that are into this are, well, not in, to say that you're into it is not the perfect terminology. It's more or less that you're comfortable in that setting, right? You're more comfortable when you have low on neurotic scale and you're low on agreeableness and you're higher on the psychopathy scale. Those who rank high on neuroticism find conflict to be painful because they are more sensitive than the average person to stressors of any kind, whether those stresses are malevolent or not is irrelevant. So, people who are higher on the neurotic scale, usually they're usually operating, their brain's operating in a Fibonacci loop. When you hear something negative, they usually keep thinking about it over and over and over, and they keep reiterating it in their lives. They're not used to just getting past it and pushing forth, right? They're not using their neocortex to their advantage. They're stuck in the limbic system brain. So people who are high on the neurotic scale end up being people that are really sensitive, people that are really easily to get depressed and anxious. So we usually classify these as people with higher estrogen levels, people that are women, people that are, even men can have this, but we understand that neuroticism is mainly found in women as well. When averaging lower on both agreeableness and neuroticism than women, men averaging lower on both agreeableness and neuroticism than women due to their higher testosterone levels results in men being on average more comfortable with conflict than women. So yes, for the most part, men don't mind, especially when they're on in terms of lower agreeableness and lower neuroticism. They're fine with engaging in conflict, right? They have no problem with it, right? This is something that is second nature sometimes for them, right? Whether this be a verbal argument, a physical argument, an emotional dispute, or whatever it is. They're more able to get into this because they're lower on the neurotic scale and lower on the agreeable scale. This is why we always see people, here's a good example, people arguing over sports games, right? Because they're using their passion, they're using their low on agreeableness and low on the neurotic scale to show their macho-ness, right? Or whatever that may be, in that sense, in regards to sports. And sometimes it even becomes physical over sports. And that does, as dumb as it sounds, it happens often. The people on the planet who are the most comfortable with conflict are psychopaths, who are exclusively male. They experience zero fear, zero neuroticism, and zero compassion, zero agreeableness. More than likely, this is a very, very small percentile of people. People who think that they are lowly agreeable or low on the neurotic scale or have zero compassion, they aren't psychopathic. Psychopaths and psychopathy is a different scale. It's It's something that can be taught and something that you could learn over time, but it also has something to do with the biological wiring in your brain as well, right? This is what we explained in previous videos as this removal, not necessarily physically removing the amygdala, but specifically not having it in play. This act of fight or flight, right? This almost goes away over constant stress tolerance. When you're extremely high in stress tolerance, you would be there, right? The amygdala would not necessarily have to be in play for you because you're not scared of anything. There's zero fear and there's zero compassion in these actions. That's why psychopaths are mainly men. To be clear, the zero agreeableness and zero neuroticism of a psychopathic man doesn't usually come from having high testosterone levels. It comes as a result of them having a suppressed or non-existent amygdala function in the brain. Psychopathy is driven by an unusual neurological structure, not an unusual hormone profile. So just like we said, there's plenty of men that are extremely high on tests, whether they're injecting these, taking testosterone gels, taking testosterone pills, antivirus, things of that nature, right? Even if you have high exceptional tests, 1200 mgs, whatever your number may be, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a psychopath. Doesn't mean you will have psychopathic tendencies. There's people that are extremely high on tests that are extremely agreeable, extremely high on tests that also on Lexapro and things of that nature because they have high neuroticism. They get anxious easily. They get triggered easily. They get depressed, upset. They get estrogenic spikes. That's why they need things to level out that estrogen. But for the most part, psychopathy is not about having high tests, right? This is just you not being able to control your anger, right? Because anger is a secondary emotion. Fear is the primary emotion. Psychopathy, you could have low tests and still be a psychopath. It's really numbing or suppressing the amygdala and not fearing anything and having zero compassion or remorse for your actions. This is a very, very small percentile of people that could reach this path. Very, very small percentile. The percentile of the dark triad of psychopathy, Machiavellianism, and narcissism. This is a dark triad that we will teach you guys. But this is also suppressing this amygdala. And the amygdala's main function is fight or flight. It's the emotions that it'll bring up for you. Which the amygdala is always in play for a lot of women because they're really emotional. And when you have high estrogen mixed in with the right hemisphere brain and the amygdala is in play, when a slight conflict happens, it's either they will be highly agreeable or they will end up neurotic. So this, guys, was another video comparing agreeableness and neuroticism and comfort with conflict and how psychopaths are comfortable in conflict because this doesn't bother them, right? This is nothing to be scared of. So feel free to like and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below. Check us out on Patreon, Rumble, Twitter, Instagram, things of that nature. This has been your fallen angel, and I am out.